welcome to today's episode of EideCast. Is this thing on? Today, joining me are Amy Carter and Staci Kroupenske of Children's Home Shelter for Family Safety, formerly known as Children's Inn. That's kind of a tongue twister, guys, but I think I've kind of got it down after a little while of working with you.
You did good.
Thanks. So we brought you guys here today because Vern Eide is on, I don't know, is it like 15 years or something like that of participating with a campaign to help fundraise for Children's Home Shelter for Family Safety. I'm just going to call it Shelter for simplicity. But would one of you just maybe want to talk a little bit to our viewers about what that's looked like over the years and what we're doing this year?
Yeah, I would say, the relationship with Vern Eide goes back probably even longer than 15 years. It's pretty tried and true, in my opinion. It's been quite a while, and I love the fact that Vern Eide has always supported our work in a way where you, as I've always described it, you guys walk the walk with us. It's not just supporting an organization in the community and we both kind of do our thing. I mean, it's a true partnership and has continued to be that way to today. And we've got some fun things planned for this year with that partnership through our Drive Out DV campaign, Drive Out Domestic Violence, and a fun collection that we're going to be looking to do this year.
You guys have a lot of needs for the people that visit the shelter. So tell us a little bit more. What kind of things are you looking for, and why is this drive really important to be including this year?
So we require a lot of things to be able to do our work. In addition to the monetary to support what we're doing, we also use a lot of gift in kind or items for the guests that we're serving. Usually anything you use in our own home, we have a need for at the shelter because we're serving families who maybe have left situations abruptly, didn't get to pack their own things, or maybe just need some of those basic necessities. And so those are a need for us as we are serving these clients and guests. And because of the increase in numbers we've seen over the years, and I'll let Amy talk more later about kind of our facility, but we're in a bigger facility now. And last year in 2023, we saw a 28% increase in our shelter intakes. So we're just going through a lot more of those kinds of items. So things like shampoo and conditioner, body wash, deodorant, baby bottles, and some of the baby products like baby shampoo, those kind of things.
So Amy, maybe tell us just a little bit about the types of people that you see at your organization. Like, what is it that you guys do for when we say victims or survivors? What is it they're surviving from?
Sure. So people who utilize our services are survivors or victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, elder abuse, child abuse and neglect. So these are individuals in our community who are no longer safe in their own home for whatever reason it might be. And so they come to us either seeking shelter services or all of the other things that we do. And I'll talk a little bit about shelter first because that tends to be what we're known for. We are the only domestic violence shelter in this 5-county area in southeast South Dakota. So we do see a great number of people, the majority being from the Sioux Falls, Minnehaha, Lincoln County areas. But so each year we have over 1,400 intakes into shelter. Those are families or individuals who have gone through something in their home where it's no longer safe to stay in that home. So it might be where that abusive partner is assaulting mom, and so mom and kids need to leave. Or it could be a family situation where an adult child is no longer treating an adult parent how they should be, and so that family member feels like they don't have any other options. And so oftentimes people seek out other options first, and so maybe they try living with a family member, or they pay for a hotel for a couple nights, but those aren't long-term solutions when you're fleeing abuse and needing a safe place. So we are designed to be that safe place for long-term, in a sense that it's 30 to 45 days, where individuals can come and start to heal. It's very scary to be in an abusive relationship. It's very there's a lot of humiliation and shame that comes with that. Fear of the unknown and fear of leaving everything you know. How is that going to affect my kids? How is that going to affect my job? All of those different things. And so we can be that place where people can start to get some of those questions answered, and we have all of the staff and everything to surround them to start taking that next step in that journey so they don't have to live in a space where there's violence.
So what would you say, what does it look like if a victim were to walk in the front door needing help? What can they expect when they walk in?
Well, first and foremost, we want them to feel safe and welcomed. We try very hard to make that an easy process, getting them in the door and talking through that with them, welcoming them, always making them feel like they're in the right place and not judging them. They meet with an advocate who just basically assesses what it is that brought them in that day and what sort of help are they looking for. Sometimes people have no idea what they're looking for, and then we can help kind of identify, here's what we can do, is this what would be helpful to you? If not, we can refer them to other options. But essentially, if they are seeking shelter, we do an intake process and they come into our beautiful facility, which we've just been in about a year and a half now. We built a much larger facility to accommodate those increasing numbers that Staci mentioned. So, and then once in shelter, they have a case manager who walks through the journey with them, helping them identify what their needs are. Staci's needs, for example, if she were there, are very different than mine and yours, and so we individualize their care and their plan while they're with us. Some people really just need a safe place to lay their head down and get some rest. When you live in a home where there's abuse, peace and rest are far and few between. You don't get a lot of that, and so sometimes it's just getting a good night's sleep, and they can start to really process through everything they're going through. And others are ready to start looking for a job, an apartment, and childcare, and getting any important documents they need. All those things, so we can walk through that, which can be overwhelming too. So that's really what we're able to provide from the shelter part of it. And then meals and shampoo and clothing and transportation, all of those things that we want to take away any stress that those cause people. They have a lot of barriers in their life. They might not have transportation. They might not have a way to get their kids to school or pay for the gas in their vehicle, and we can help with some of that too while they're with us.
Very good.
Yeah.
So if a victim comes in, I could see one of the hurdles being, okay, my kids are in school, I can't just uproot them from their daily lives.
Right.
What does that look like for a family that might have kids that are school age or in daycare, and how do we keep them safe still through trying to maintain some sort of normalcy for them?
Right. So ideally, if kids are in a school, we continue to have them go to that school. That's something that's really important just in a child's education, is not to disrupt that education or as minimally as possible. So, and if a parent staying with us doesn't have the ability to get that child to school, we will assist with that. There's also a program through the school district that can help with that. So that's some partnership that we have there. Daycare, sometimes it's safe to continue to have those kids go to daycare, sometimes it isn't. If that perpetrator or abuser is going to seek those kids out, it might be best not to have them in that daycare. And so we do have staff on site who can help provide some temporary short-term childcare while they're with us when they start to figure other things out. Again, every individual has different needs when they come to us, and we're going to just maneuver through that individually for each person. There are a lot of people who continue their life fairly normally while they're with us. They're able to go to work and school and things like that. And there's other people who, once they come through our shelter doors, they don't leave the entire time they're there because that's what makes them feel the safest. So it just really depends on the situation.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So you guys have a new facility.
Yes.
I've had the pleasure of touring it, and it is beautiful, but that might be a question for somebody that is needing to find help. Is this going to feel like a prison and cells, or what is this going to
Right.
look and feel like to me? So do you mind talking just a little bit about what the facility might look like, or some of those comforts that might feel hopefully a little bit
Yes.
kind of like home?
We worked very hard to create a very healing, trauma-informed space. Shelter does have a negative connotation. A bunch of cots lined up against a wall, things like that, and that is absolutely not what we have offered people. We have 38 separate bedrooms, different configuration of beds within those rooms, so we have 108 beds, wanting to make sure that we can accommodate all of those that need to come to us. But separate villages with the bedrooms in them. We have a beautiful dining space where everybody can eat together, family rooms, playrooms, a beautiful backyard, where kids can just be kids. And even we find a lot of adults enjoying the backyard space now too in our new location. It's a sense of peace out there, I think, as well. But wide hallways, bright lights, skylights, large windows. We just wanted it to be as open and airy and welcoming as we could for people. The other thing with the shelter is that it's very secure and safe. Once you come in the doors, we make sure that people who shouldn't be in the building can't get in the building or be on the property for that matter. You're completely anonymous and confidential within the facility if you choose to remain that way. There's just a lot of things in place to help people feel safe as well.
That is so awesome and so important too. What would you say are some of the challenges you guys face at the shelter?
I would say probably some of our bigger challenges are just the extensive needs of the clients. Abuse does not occur by itself. Typically there's some other co-occurring issues that happen with families. When families are in crisis and trauma, emotions are elevated, feelings are elevated. It's harder for them to process a lot of times and approach things in ways that maybe you or I would when we're not in crisis. And so really creating that level and calm space so that people can work through that in a healthy way. Staffing, as with anybody, getting the best staff and keeping staff and making sure we have enough people there to provide the services is an ongoing challenge for everybody in this world these days. But and then just, of course, meeting our budget and making sure we can give everybody who's with us everything that they need.
Absolutely.
I think we're unique as an organization in that I guess there's a lot of organizations out there that are probably like this, but we're highly charitable. So to do the work that we do, we don't charge those individuals who are coming to us for help, those survivors. It's not something, it'd be one more barrier for them to get the help that they needed if we charged them for that. So we don't. It's a free service that we offer to those in need, but that funding has to come from somewhere to be able to do this work, which is why the partnership with Vern Eide and our Drive Out DV event is so important because it helps us come up with those charitable dollars that we need. Each year, our budget is about 80% charitable, so it's pretty significant.
Yeah, we have great support from the community as a whole. Between our government partners and other, agencies that we work with, and but that only goes so far, and so, but we are grateful for the community support, whether it's individuals or businesses or others that help make this work possible.
Yeah, that is so awesome. So do you guys have any upcoming projects or initiatives outside of Drive Out Domestic Violence that or goals that you're looking ahead toward on how to take the shelter to the next step or the next level? Are you going to need to add on space, because it sounds like you guys are starting to fill up so much more than even from your old property. So what does the future hold?
Sure. Well, just to kind of give a little point of reference, Staci mentioned we've seen a 28% increase in intakes, and another number that sometimes resonates with people is in our old building, prior to moving, we were averaging about 58 people a day. Now we average about 78 people a day. So it was a significant increase, but thankfully our space accommodates it, and it just, it allows for both staff and clients to still get the help and the feeling that they need being there. But, we've already been able to do a lot being in the new building compared to our old building. We've been able to identify a different case management process that serves our clients better, and I think we're seeing better outcomes for that. They get more individualized care, and we're able just to connect with them not only while they're in shelter, but then after they leave, which was something we just didn't have the capacity to do in our old building. We've expanded our counseling services slightly. We were able to add a half-time counselor when we moved into this new building. Again, with the space available, that made that possible. What I've really been excited about in the new space that we've been able to do is more partnerships with other community organizations, bringing people in. For example, we're doing some financial education once a month for clients. We've had an organization here in town that helps with resumes and job interviews, things like that, coming in and talking with our clients. We had an organization that helps register people to vote come in. We have a legal service come in every week and help with any legal questions. Those are all awesome partnerships that we just didn't really have the capacity or the mental we were just surviving in the old building and helping clients and staff survive, and so now we can just be thinking forward. So more programming like that, and it doesn't necessarily mean adding space or adding anything significant from a budget, but just it gives more to our clients. So I think that's what I would add about that.
Yeah, I think it's the processes that we weren't able to focus on for such a long time because, as Amy said, we were kind of in survival mode, and so it was really hard to kind of look outside of this box. So I think now we can start to peer outside of the box and occupy the space we're in. You know, not just kind of surviving today, but like how can we make this experience even better for the individuals that are coming to us for help and support.
Here's a small example that we're also really excited about. We're planting a garden. We never had the space to do that in the old building, and we wanted to, we had to figure out where would be the best place, so we didn't do this last summer, but this summer we were able to get what we needed to plant a small garden for the kids. The women can be involved too, but it's primarily for the kids to have something to kind of focus on, and then of course eat the benefits of their labor and things. So that'll be fun.
That's so cool to really continue to bring real life experience for these families that are there and incorporate that still, even though they're not at their own home. So that's amazing.
Exactly.
You guys sound busy and life sounds a little crazy, and I can't imagine working with victims that are coming in with such heartbreaking and heart-wrenching stories. How do you guys find motivation to keep going forward and keep moving forward with working at the shelter?
You should tell the story about our most recent donor, but I'll answer that first, and then I'd love Staci to tell a little story. But the individuals that come to us, they're oftentimes at their lowest, and they have so much gratitude for the smallest things that we can offer them, and what we think is so simple as giving someone a blanket or a bottle of shampoo or holding their baby while they take a shower. I mean, that's not putting me out at all, to hold a baby for an hour. So, but that is just they're just so grateful for those things, and it just starts to help them feel that they have some value and some worth, which they came to us not having that. And so that's what fills our cup. That's what helps the staff keep going when they see those little things. Are there hard days? Absolutely. Are there trying situations? For sure. But I think we just know that we're a small positive light in their life during the time that they're with us.
To add on to that, I think the stories we hear kind of down the road where somebody maybe reaches out later and says, you guys made such an impact on me, I've never forgotten you. Those are kind of the moments where you're like, okay, what we did was treat them with dignity and respect. We supported them, we just helped them in a difficult time, and it made such an impact on them. So to share the story that Amy was mentioning, I had a phone call the other day, and it was a woman who said that we helped her several years ago. She came to us with her child, and they were seeking assistance in a situation of domestic violence. And she just didn't know what to do, where to turn, and she did a lot of praying at that time and just said, God, if you can help us safely out of this situation, someday I will pay it forward, pay it back. And so that was several years ago. Well, she called now because she said, I'm finally in a position where she said, we're doing well. My child is doing well, is in school, getting straight A's. I am doing well. We're both in a really good spot. And financially, she said, I'm able to give back. And so she made an online gift of $1,000. And just the phone call was so joyful. She was so joyful because she said, I'm so glad that I'm finally at this point where I can fulfill my promise to God. He saved us in that situation, and that's what I was praying for, and now I'm giving back. And so that goes a long way in filling cups. Like, that is when we may not know in the moment that we made a difference, but when you hear those pieces, you're like, yes. We have a great team, and they just did what they do, support and guide people through these situations and just be there for them, and it's a life-changing impact.
And what my other favorite part about that is that she referenced the receptionist who would just greet her every day. And again, our staff is just doing her job, saying hi, opening the door, and that she just raved about that, and that really made an impact on her. And again, we wouldn't even have known that at the time. She's like, I was just doing my job. And so yeah, those are really fun stories to hear. And we're just so pleased that she's doing well. Of course, our ultimate goal is that they get out of those situations and don't have to ever return or continue to live that way. So
Absolutely. And I think that is such a tremendous story, and a really good reminder too of just how we as individuals, whether working at the shelter or outside of the shelter, all it takes is one little thing of kindness to really make somebody's day and have a really large impact on their lives. And so that gave me goosebumps.
Yeah.
It's very, very cool. Thanks for sharing that story. So for Vern Eide employees or Vern Eide customers or just really anyone out in the public, what can they do to help?
So there's a lot of different ways that people can help. One will be supporting our upcoming campaigns in the Pack the Back drive. All of those things go to our guests when they are in need. So it really helps us fill a need. You can always help by making a gift on our website. Financially, we need those gifts as well. That helps us support this work and continue to do what we're doing. We have opportunities to volunteer throughout the year. So we have volunteers for some of our events. Our biggest one is probably our gift wrap booth in December. So if you like wrapping presents, we'd love to.
Presents wrapped.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Stop by and see us in the Empire Mall. But you can call to sign up for that. It takes 500 to 600 volunteers during December, which I know is a really busy time of year. So we're very grateful for people who choose to give their time at that time of year. So we definitely need volunteers for that. But we also utilize volunteers at our shelter for different capacities. So, for example, one of the things that we have in our new facility is our Lotus Boutique. What we do with that is we fill it with donated clothing items that are then given back to our guests, but it's kind of a shopping experience for them. So they can come in, find the clothing items that they need. They're assisted by a volunteer, and then they can take those clothing items. It's no cost to them, but it's more shopping as opposed to just kind of finding items in a box. So, and then our volunteers can run back downstairs, find more clothing items, restock the boutique, and it's just all set to go the next time. So we need volunteers to help with those kinds of things. We also have a couple other things within our shelter, helping with our kids in our youth care program, just some different things like that. So we would encourage people to reach out if they have time to be able to give to that. We are looking for people who can give kind of a consistent amount of time. So like come every week or something like that. And so we're looking for those people who are looking for some other way to give in the community.
Mm-hmm. Very good. And then I see on Facebook or like Facebook Marketplace, or just even my friends on Facebook, oh, I have all of these old stuffed animals, they're in perfect condition, they've never been touched, or I've got all these kids' toys, or I've got, I went through my closet and I'm trying to get rid of some of my old stuff. Where's the best place to donate? Do you guys take used items? Are you looking for new items?
So when it comes to clothing, we can take new or gently used. We kind of prefer them to be in-season items. But if someone's wanting to donate those clothing items, we just ask that they give us a call and we just kind of pre-schedule a time for them to stop by with those items. We can take up to 5 bags or boxes at a time. And that way we can kind of get them sorted and use them in our boutique, and we're just not getting overwhelmed with clothing either. We want to have enough to meet the need that we're seeing. Gifts and toys and stuffed animals and games, those kind of things do have to be new. But here's why. We use those as birthday presents, Christmas presents, those kind of things throughout the year. And so we're handing those out as gifts, so we prefer those be new items that we can share with the kids and the guests that we're serving.
Oh, very good to know.
Every child that stays with us, and we had, how many kids did we have last year? Over about 600 kids come through our door. Every child gets what's called a departure gift when they leave, and it consists of a new toy, a stuffed animal, usually a fleece blanket, a book, usually some pajamas that is brand new, something that they can take wherever it is that they're going next, whether it's home or into a foster care or to live with grandma, whatever it might be, moving out of state, but it's something new and it's theirs. And we have heard many times over the years how much that meant to those kids, and it's something that was their own when oftentimes they didn't have anything that was their own. So all of those things that Staci mentioned are used throughout the year to help fill those gifts.
And I bet it's something that those kids are going to go hold on to and
Yes.
remember the nice people and the help
Yes.
that they received to get them
Yep.
out of a
Exactly.
place that was
That's our
not
hope,
so good.
yes, that it makes them feel good that in a tough time in their life, they had this positive experience at the shelter.
Yeah, that's so cool. Is there anything else that you would want viewers to know or recognize or just be aware of when it comes to the shelter?
You know, one of the things I thought of is, I know, Amy, you talked about our shelter program, but
Yeah.
we didn't get to talk a lot about the other pieces, kind of the wraparound service.
Right.
So maybe you can share a little bit more about that piece.
Sure, and I think that is important because so oftentimes people are experiencing abuse or worried about a family member or have some questions, but they don't necessarily need shelter. So probably our other largest service is our crisis services, and so we have a crisis hotline that's available 24/7, answering over 3,000 calls with that every year. We also do what's called drop-in counseling, where someone just shows up at our door asking questions in crisis, again, wondering about how to help somebody or wants some safety planning or a protection order. Over 3,000 of those interactions as well happen within our doors every year. So that's available to anybody, you know, and so we want to make sure that people are either utilizing that themselves if they have a need, or they're referring people to utilize those services. We also offer support groups for people who have been a victim or either currently experiencing it or have in the past. That's what our support groups are available for. We also have counseling available. So I think we're the little hidden secret about our counseling. So if someone has experienced domestic violence or child abuse at some point in their life, either currently or in the past, we offer free counseling services. And you know, there's no limit. It can be years of counseling with us, or it can be a couple sessions, whatever makes sense for that individual. But that's a great service that we would love to see utilized even more, because our counselors have the capacity right now. So those are just a few of the other things that we offer that don't necessarily require someone to be in shelter with us. Those are available to anybody in the community.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining
Yes.
us today. I have the utmost respect for what you guys do. I'm humbled and honored to share Drive Out Domestic Violence with you guys and help participate and really grow the awareness of the shelter and help raise funds. It's one of my favorite parts of my job, to be honest. So I just thank you guys so much for allowing Vern Eide to be a part of that and for being here today to share a little bit more about the shelter.
We love working with you as well.
Thank you.
Yes.
So that's it for today's session of EideCast. Is this thing on? We'll see you next time.